Hello everybody, I hope you're all well. The weather in Scotland is still dreadful, just rain, and it's humid as well. So happy days. It's meant to get better tomorrow, I hope so, because I've got about 4 dozen pumpkin plants. I planted a whole load of pumpkin seeds and they've all come up. I have no idea where I'm going to put them, but I do. They're taking over the windowsill in the living room now, so they do need to go outside. Anyway, we have episode 13 of the Prado House. I'm also, a neighbour gave me a white tile, so I'm going to try and have a go at making some Fimo food on camera using the white tile. The tiles that I normally use are slightly grainy, and I think that was causing the camera some issues with focusing. So, and I'll give you a little update on the build as well. So I shall now turn the camera around and get on with it. So we have episode 13, and it's this kitchen range. I have made one of these before, and they're pretty straightforward. The way they do it's a bit rubbish, to be honest. So we won't be making it look like this, because that just looks too toy-like for me. But we'll be using the base of the kind of wooden structure and for want of a better way of putting it, pimping it up. Right, so that's the magazine. We'll look at that again in a minute. And then we have the instructions, and there you get a better look at it. This here is just basically a lolly stick, and it looks like a lolly stick. So I mean, I like using everyday objects and bits of junk and stuff to make miniatures, but I like them to be transformed really and not look like what they originally were, masquerading as a chimney. So that's got the pattern there. Now that pattern, that might actually work for a 24th scale build, mightn't it? So, have to see, another piece of cardboard and the pieces of wood that you need for the stove. There you see, there's that lolly stick bit. Right, let's go back to the... I was talking to a friend because I used to teach, and I was talking to a friend about, I suddenly realised how much I say right, and I think it comes from working in classrooms. It's kind of a signal to the children to listen, not that most of them do most of the time. So we've got a beautiful old door there, and what this is, I hadn't realised I had actually had a sneak preview this time, and this is actually a book that's been made into a sort of serial for this magazine. So it's a book about making doll's house interiors, and it's by Venus A. Dodge, and I've got another one of their books. So let me see if I can find. Yeah, here it is. Here's the chapters which we'll get throughout the episodes. The first one is just about the tools and things you need, and then throughout this series of magazines now we'll get to make a country kitchen, a scullery, a parlour, bedroom, sitting room, town kitchen, Georgian room, Tudor room and a garden. So I will have a go at some of the things in this, I think, alongside the Del Prado house. I don't intend to make the room boxes, but I will make some of the things out of them, just to ring the changes a bit. And I don't think this magazine has got much to share with you. Again, lovely illustrations, and it's talking about the kind of materials you need. Looking for, it says if you're planning to make a room box, you need good quality plywood. Unlike the plywood we have for the Del Prado house, which cannot be described as good quality really. although the stuff for the furniture isn't that bad. I run a site on Facebook called the Prado Dolls House, and I share the videos on there. And one lady said that she had both Del Prado houses, and the quality of the wood was dreadful and they both fell apart. And strangely, this didn't discourage me, it just made me more determined. As I said, there's going to be a lot of shoring up involved, but yeah, I go for a challenge. So we certainly have a challenge with this, but not so much with the furniture, but more with the actual structure of the house, as you may have seen if you've been watching the previous videos. Right, so this stove basically just needs to be pushed out of the framework. It may come out, yeah. Sometimes they come out quite easily, but you do have to watch it. And then glued together. I'm not going to use that bit. I have a box of bits over there, so that's gone straight away in the box. Now, as with the previous bits of furniture, sometimes you can keep these and use them as templates if you want to make another one. So that's what I will do with this. If I did make another one, I have a fret saw, but even so, I wouldn't bother with these notches. I would just glue them together without the notches bits, because it would be a pain to have to cut those out. But yeah, it's worth keeping these, just in case you want to do another one. So now what I need to do, now you can see that notch as the pliers start to delaminate there, is the usual thing: sanding, priming, and gluing together. So I'll come back when these are sanded, I'll put one coat of primer on them and then glue them together. And then what I'll probably do, I'll do the pimping up bit after that. So I will see you in a while. So while the stove is drying, I've primed it and it's nearly dry. I thought I'd talk a little bit about FIMO, and I thought I'd start by recommending a few books. This book is called Making Dolls House Miniatures with Polymer Clay, and it's by Sue Heiser. What I like about this book is that it gives you the measurements for everything. So you'll get, you know, if you wanted to make this saucepan, you'll get cut a strip of clay, 13mm wide and about 7.5mm long, and for me that's really important. When I started out having the measurements for things, because I'm pretty dreadful on the scale, and I think I've mentioned this FIMO measuring thing as well. So it's got, I'll put my hand there, you can see it's got the circles with the, so you've got the diameters of the circles, which I also found really useful. So that's the first book. And this book not only does food, it does lots and lots and lots of things. Very few of which I've made. I've made a lot of the food, but not much of the other things. I would like to have a go at those carnations. That might be something I do later on in this series. The other one that she's written that I use a lot is food displays, and I've made a lot of the things out of here. I particularly like making the boar's head. I've made a lot of those. So yeah, these two are good. And then we have the kind of queen, or the other queen. I think Sue Heiser and Angie Scar probably share the role of queens of polymer clay food. This one, Making Miniature Food in Market Stores by Angie Scar, is brilliant. as well, and I've made lots and lots of things out of here. She does a lot of quite complex things cane wise, but what this book is organised so that it starts with the easier things and then progresses, which is quite helpful if you want to kind of build up your skills. So they're the 3 that I would definitely recommend. I've got a couple more. I've got this one, and I've never made anything out of that yet. I just treated myself to that. One day, perhaps. And then if you look, you can get these Dolls House projects magazines. You can find them on eBay and sometimes on Vinted, and I would recommend these books. It's Dolls House projects, and it says from the publishers of Dolls House and Miniature Scene, and they are really, really useful. I've made lots of bits of furniture out of these books, and this one's got a great recipe, the instructions for a Christmas turkey and other Christmas food. So yeah, that's worth getting hold of. World of Books is good for picking them up cheap, and just keeping an eye out on eBay and Vinted. Right, now I use Fimo because that's what I'm used to, but there are other brands, and I don't think there's much between them. The colours might obviously be different. You just have to kind of find the one that you like. What I wouldn't recommend is buying these kind of cheapy packs where they look a bit like this. They've normally got 4 of these in, and they are too soft to work with properly. It's like working with chewing gum. They're cheap, and they're cheap for a reason. So I would stick to one of the brands. The other thing you must get is the translucent. Whatever brand you're working, you can mix and match with brands, but I use this Fimo translucent, and when you're making miniature food, if you just use the pure colour, it will look too heavy. It won't look realistic, so you always have to kind of mix it in with a bit of translucent clay to get more of a realistic finish. Tool wise, when you're starting out, apart from the ruler, you need to be able to texture things. So I use bits of sandpaper, a bit of screwed up foil, and an old toothbrush. Cutting clay, I use a single-sided razor blade, and I've got a box of those, and they are very cheap online. I think they probably came from eBay, I'm not sure. Not eBay, Amazon. I've also got this little knife that my friend gave me. I have no idea where you get these from, but I find that really useful. And a ruler. A little tool that if you look up sort of Fimo tools online, or I think that's called a dotting tool, I'm not sure, but it's useful for making little holes in the tops of fruits and things. A cocktail stick's always useful. A dental tool, a kind of pointy one. You can get these in sets. This is the one I use the most. And a kind of silicone smoothing tool is useful. I've also collected lots of other bits and pieces over the years. Marbles are useful for when you're making bowls and things. That's how I made the pestle and mortar. I just wrapped a bit of clay around a marble and baked it. It's a bit rough around the edges, but I wasn't that bothered. I mean, you can sand them, but I quite like that look because it's meant to be stone, so it just looks like it's been a bit chipped and used. So that's the tools that you can start out with. You can buy, you know, it's like anything. You can get pulled into buying all manner of cutters and other bits and pieces, but I wouldn't to begin with. I just buy the basics that you need, and then if you enjoy doing it, you can kind of forget the rest of it later, can't you? That's the marble gone on the floor somewhere. I'll never see that again. The other thing is a tile. It doesn't have to be a white tile. It just needs to be a ceramic tile. It's useful for baking on and working on. You need to keep the tile clean because the clay picks up every little tiny piece of dust. It's a nightmare for that. So keep your fingers and your worktop clean, and just I use baby wipes to do that with. So yeah, that's the tools. And now I'm going to start mixing, because I want to make an orange pepper. So I've got the actual pepper here, so I've got a kind of colour reference. So I've got some orange and I've got some translucent, and I may even put a little bit of white in with that, or a little bit of yellow. I've actually got the translucent yellow, so I might use a little bit of that in with it. So my Fimo, I don't use it that often, and it's get quite hard and crumbling. That's not so bad, but if you do get clay that's hard and crumbly, then you can just keep working it and squiddling it together. That is quite crumbly, isn't it? So yeah, you just keep squiddling it together and working it with your hands, warming it up. Some people sit on it. And some people mix a little bit of olive oil in with it, but you can reconstitute it, I think, as long as it's not gone like complete concrete, then it will kind of come good eventually. I keep it in these little zip bags, and I also and they're also in kind of Tupperware boxes. You need to make sure that the air doesn't get to it, and that kind of helps keep it usable. So I think I'll come back to you once I've mixed this up a bit, because it's going to take a while. You just have to be patient and keep working at it. You know, I sometimes will put it near the radiator to warm it up a bit, especially in Scotland in the winter. But yeah, you can see it's kind of beginning now to soften a bit. I'll come back in a while. Now, as I said, I've mixed a bit of yellow, translucent yellow, a bit of this orange, and some just plain translucent together. And to mix it, all you do is just keep rolling it out. And then turning it round, squeezing it together, and mixing it again. I mean, rolling it again. And I think that's quite a nice pepper colour, actually. Oh, it will be. I might just put a wee bit more translucent in, because it's a bit darker than that, but not much. Get a bit more translucent. That will lighten it up a bit. Okay, nice. So I've made 4 peppers so far. I'm using the avocado pear as a kind of a rough guide. I'm going to make 1 more. I have an awful lot of the colour mixed left. I did roll out quite a lot of balls, and I thought, how many orange peppers do I really need? So I'll use that to mix up with some red and make some different shades of peppers and tomatoes, I think. But this is the last one. And basically I'm just kind of rolling out a sort of a slight tear shape, and the fat bit of the tear will be the top. in the middle here, using the ball tool to make a hole in the middle. That one looks a bit too round. Let's elongate it again, that's better. And then using one of these dental tools to just kind of make the bits around the sides here. I don't think I'm ever going to be a one of these people who does fire made food videos as tutorials, so don't worry, I won't inflict this much longer. So that I'll probably make that a bit come down a bit more. I was a bit worried they were looking kind of miniature pumpkin like, but I think when they're mixed in with the red and the green ones, they will be, people will see them as peppers. So I'm using this leaf green with a little bit of translucent in it, the top, just rolling a bit out, and I'm cutting. I'm right down the bottom corner of this screen, aren't I? Dear me. Just try and make myself get into the middle a bit more. That's it. Yeah, just cutting a bit off. This seems to be the crucial bit that makes it look like a pepper to me anyway. Just picking this up with a dental tool and sticking it in the hole and then sort of squidging all round. Because if you look at the real thing, it's got this bit around the edge there. That seems to be, once you put that in and squidge it round like that, I need to go all the way around. Try and sort of do it so that the stalk remains in the middle. That gives you the thing that your brain thinks, oh yes, that's a pepper. So I've got 5 there now, and you know, it's always a good idea to make more than you need, and then you can just choose the best ones. So there'll be, I'll make a load of different colours and some tomatoes, and then bake them, and then they will join the other things on the table. And I think that may well be the last time I attempt a FIMO demonstration on camera, because I'm not enjoying it. And this is meant to be fun. So yeah, I will show you what I've made and talk about it in future, but I think the demos I'll leave to the professionals, and I'll go back to what I do enjoy doing on camera, which is constructing the furniture in the house. I hope I'm not the only one who ends up in this kind of a chaos when they're creating something. I shall talk you through it. This is a flower that I found when we went to the dump. Obviously it's a kind of fabricy flower that was in a box. There were several of them, so I took them because I thought that they would be really helpful in making the flowers, or an approximation of the flowers that are on there, which I think are courgette flowers. Next can sort of deep fry them, I think. So far I have made these by just sort of cutting the petals and rolling them around pieces of wire with glue. That one's actually come a bit unglued. I did think that possibly it might be easier to do that with double-sided sticky tape, so I may have a go at doing that. You've got to kind of stick it to itself. Then of course I needed a vase. I got a lot of little white plastic vases, so I started to paint one unfortunately the basket, the little basket vase there, it's just difficult to get things in focus on here, isn't it? Doesn't have a hole in it, so I couldn't use that. I did try digging a hole out, but it's just too hard plastic. So I painted that, and I also thought, well, obviously I had to mix the colour I wanted, so I ended up with lots more paint than I should have had. So I painted another one, which I can use as a sort of an approximate for that little jug down there. I shall do a dark brown around the top to simulate the kind of slip. That's the rejects, or the ones that didn't fit from the Fimo. I also found out these little beads that I thought were quite nice that I intend to make tops for and maybe put on shelves in the kitchen. There's the stove, which is what this episode is supposed to be about. It's now built and filled in the slab, tab and slot piece. I've also covered the doors. This is a piece of plastic lace, which I find really useful to simulate sort of wrought iron or cast iron. And I found those little bits. I don't know what I've done with the rest of that. No, it's gone. Yeah, they were kind of circles, card making things that I picked up in a charity shop. There were quite a few of them for 50p, and I always look out for stuff like that because it's really quite useful. Normally in charity shops they have a box of card making bits, and you can find quite a lot of bits and pieces that are useful for Dolls House making. And if it's less than £1, then I tend to get it. And then over here, this is where we are now at with the table. They're the peppers. I did put a layer of Fimo varnish on them as well, and a few more tomatoes. Now I've done a few different shades. I think they look a lot more realistic. I'm quite pleased with those. Like they're not perfect, but they'll do for me. So we're getting there. If I zone out about, you can see that the kitchen now has all of its walls. And I've rethought the hallway and painted it yellow instead of that orange, because I just thought the hallways were quite dark and it needed a lighter colour. This is the stove so far. I found a little bracelet link which is stuck on the top of the plastic lace. I'll try and that's it. That's better, isn't it? So you can see. The knobs were just, I don't know where they came from or what they were supposed to be. I have a box of things labelled possible knobs. Whenever I see anything that might do it as a knob for miniatures, that's the box it goes in. The top are washers, and the rail around the, let me put it down a minute. Oh, it's going to fall down. The rail around here, it was an old bracelet. It's not straight, but I'm going to hang bits of old tea towel and things on it, so that will hide that. So as you can see, what we were supposed to make and what we've ended up with are slightly different. I have the stove chimney here, and I've also got, excuse me, the little curved bit that will go on the end. A plumber friend was retiring and gave me lots and lots of little bits of pipe, so they're really useful. I'm in two minds whether to spray it black or keep it copper. and possibly even paint the knobs copper as well, and then have copper pans on it. But that's as far as I've got now. The other thing I've been doing is finishing off this table. It's becoming a bit of a spot the difference here, isn't it? We've now got some tortilla dough, some salsa in the pestle and mortar, and a half an avocado. So that's the half an avocado I made with I made a mould out of that stuff where you mix the blue and the white together, and pressed one of the full-sized avocados into it, and then lined it with dark green, and then filled it up with kind of a light translucent yellowy colour, and then half a bit of brown on the top. So all that needs now are the onions, which are made, but the varnish on them was too wet to move them. So I'll go back to the stove, since this was where the episode was meant to be. Thank you all very much for watching, and please do like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye.